I've had a stressful week doing the action figures and running the castle around here and trying to get some things. And a week, I just talked to you 2.5 days ago, almost 3, on your show. Maybe that's why I'm so fresh out of topics. Well, we're going to talk about the few things that we have seen since then, and I have a couple of emails, and we got topics from the interwebs. I forgot to do this last week, but I want to thank Gavin at Main Event Belts across the pond. But it's maineventbelts.com. Guess what he sent me? A complete as a free gift. Not even a parting gift. We were never together in that way, so we didn't have to part. But I'm fond of him now. Guess what he sent me?
A Main Event belt?
Well, that wasn't hard to goddamn figure out, but what would the belt be of? What specificity of the belt is there?
Well, if we're talking about things you talk about on the air, it would either be a disgusting pizza or maybe a moat or...
Yeah, the Moat Championship. I just won the Moat heavyweight title.
That'd be a contested championship. You got the Monroe brothers down there by the moat, your neighbor and all of his gravel.
The other neighbor in her ditch.
The other neighbor in a ditch, a Mustang just flying over at random times.
There's going to be some body end up in one of these natural orifices out here. There's a cave over 2 doors over. They got a little cave next to the cabin that they set up there years ago. Anyway, but no, he sent me a Jim Cornette Louisville Lip Championship belt, custom made. It's got the main plate has me and all of my glory in the red and yellow outfit that the folks know from my original action figure and seen on television so many times. And the leather is red on the front, yellow on the back. The side plates have my various designs. Thank you, fuck you, bye. I'm a Jim Cornette guy, that type of thing. It's an amazing piece of work. And he sent that as a wonderful gift for my many years of service to the community. It's best. See, you don't get a gold watch in wrestling. You get a main event belt.
That's very cool. That's very, very nice.
Maineventbelts.com. I've said that 3 times now. I've probably paid for it by now at our going advertising rates.
You mentioned the look you have on the belt. Is there a specific outfit you prefer being seen in public? Like if any photos are out there or if someone's going to draw a picture of you, is there a specific look you want?
Well, it depends on what they're going for. I mean, I know that I don't look the same as I did 35 years ago. I've lost a little hair. I'm a little lighter now than I was then. I love saying that. Yeah, I've lost some weight. I've lost a little hair, but I don't change much. We were actually, a figures toy company and I were talking about future projects. And they said, well, if we make a modern day Jim Cornette figure, we don't really have to change the face. You kind of look the same. I said, how are you going to make them salt and pepper my hair? Are we dealing with artistes over there that are hand painting these things? Or is it like when you go to the spaghetti factory and order something special and they say, sir, we don't have chefs, we have cooks. Otherwise than my hair, I look the fucking same. Back to your question. What was it? I remember what it was. So it depends on the era. Obviously, in the 80s with the Midnight Express, I love the couple of color combinations that I've been known for. So the red and yellow that has been on and the red and green, the Christmas variant figures. That's why we did those. And one of my more famous outfits is the bloody white coat. That's why we did that. I love the pink and red suit.
I was going to ask you about that one.
Suit. Yeah.
That was the one I was going to ask you about. Yeah.
The pink and red Raw debut with Bobby Heenan. I mean, I was thinking back to because I knew that, besides the fact I'm debuting on Raw, I'm going to be standing there next to Bobby. And I was thinking back to all the outlandish warm-up suits and things he used to wear when I saw him as a kid. And I went with the pink and the red, etc. So and then again.
And Bobby went with a windbreaker.
Well, he was rawing at that point.
Rawing.
And besides that, it was a miserable fucking 150-degree building, and he was he was on the downhill slide there. Remember, he was leaving shortly afterwards. So it wasn't like he was, all in at that point. But we loved our time. But anyway, that suit and some of the more modern stuff, my announcer outfit or whatever, which is kind of more color appropriate. I was always color coordinated. A lot of the colors weren't appropriate. But that's some of those suits. I like those. It just depends on what era they're going for. And now I can be depicted in a Cornette face shirt, and I don't have to worry about you wearing a tie. That's been really the mission of my whole life. Get to where you don't have to wear a tie.
So do you like or not like your early look? Like when it was more preppy, more outlandishly rich as opposed to, somewhat effeminate in terms of the colors? It was like very...
Wait, it wasn't effeminate. I thought it was just...
Pink and red?
Well, goddamn, it goes together. You can see it. Jimmy Hart would wear that. Or other masculine men such as him.
I guess, now that I think about it, I don't remember Jimmy Hart wearing that in Memphis either.
Well...
He had a better wardrobe than you in Memphis.
Well, no, when I first started... Besides the fact you asked about the preppy outfit,
yes, the three-piece suits and
yes, well, especially when I was very young and very, mama's boyish looking, but also I've told you the story. The deal, I had no suits whatsoever when Jerry Jarrett told me if you want to be a manager, come to TV next week wearing a suit. Right? I had 0 suits, so I went out and rushed and bought a couple. But then Mike Duncan, who was Christine Jarrett's nephew, had been a television announcer and commentator for a lot of Knicks TVs in Alabama and Tennessee for years before that. It was at that time was the weekly ring announcer in Louisville, but his daytime job was he worked at this men's clothing store down at the Hickory Hollow Mall in Nashville. And let's just put it that way. I mean, the statute of limitations has run out on this anyway, and Mike's passed away. So what the fuck? And I was a struggling rookie wrestling manager in need. Mike, being smart to the wrestling business, said, you need some. And also, I debuted in the middle of fucking August, right? But one of the suits that I bought, because I didn't know fucking suits from apple butter, as they say. Actually, no one's ever said that. I just did. I bought a fucking heavy wool suit that you'd wear in the goddamn Alaskan tundra in the middle of whale season in January. It was the hottest. I could put it on in a goddamn air-conditioned room and be sweating. So Mike said, you need some good clothes, and you don't have a lot of money to spend on them. Come see me. So it was a men's clothing store in a nice, fashionable mall. I wasn't going to be able to get the pink slacks and the Zabada and everything, but he got me rich kid preppy type clothes. And the deal was he'd have me pick out or he'd pick out everything into place for me, and the ties and this matches with that and the jacket and the pants or whatever. And he'd have this giant stack of shit. And I'm thinking this is going to be fucking, $1,000. And he'd take it because he was the manager at the time and the employees wasn't looking at him and they didn't know what was going on. He'd just, as he's talking to me, ring up every third item. They'd hear a ding, ding. He'd pass by a sport coat and a pair of pants and ring up a fucking tie for $15 back then, right? So I got my first year's worth of clothing from, the store in Nashville on the 1/3 discount plan. And then I got smartened up the next spring. If you went to the stores in Louisville, they had the derby clothes, the red jackets, the green jackets, the fucking colorful stuff, right? And that's where, in a golf store, you could get the ridiculous colored Sansabelt pants. Because, yes, originally I looked totally legitimate as a rich kid putsy manager, but besides the fact that the 3-piece suits got hot and also expensive, and the colorful stuff was cheaper, seasonal, and easier to replace, and the Sansabelts had more give to them because they were polyester. Once I started wearing the fucking colored shit, people just went insane. Like, what the? Like, I had kicked their dog on the way by their house and then thrown feces on their mother just because I was wearing that. So I said, well, fuck you, then I'll have some more of this shit. And the yachting cap and all the other bullshit was just, yeah. So anything I wore that people threw shit at, commented on negatively, told me I looked like a piece of shit or whatever the case, and I got more of that.
There were some times in World Class, and it's on TV, that's how I know, where you just look pure evil. Like you would just, the way you were dressed, and you must have been miserable being in Dallas, knowing everything else that you could be doing right now, and you just like snarl. You're not even like the usual Jim Cornette. You look like you don't want to be there, and you're just nasty.
And that was, by the way, that was the fucking dwarf we were trying to think of. Snarly was the one we missed the other day.
That's right.
But yeah, well, no, that's again, one thing I hadn't had a lot of experience in at that point was television with close-ups, because on Memphis TV, yes, in the studio, but I'd been the rookie, in training at that point. We go to Mid-South. Yeah, they got close-ups on our promos, but the Irish McNeil Boys Club 2-camera setup for Mid-South television was not revolutionary in the television industry. It got the point across, but when the World Class production and they got the cameras at ringside when shit's going on and the match is going on, or right before the match we're getting ready and the camera's up in your face, that's why, okay, I need to let these people know that I have some type of malicious intent. And then I would watch the tapes back and see where it picked us up and caught us. And then I'd, obviously I already knew to watch for the tally light, the red light, as they say, which is a tally light. If it's a professional television production, I've seen some and done some and produced some that were wired up with duct tape and fucking fishing line, but you'll have a tally light and you'll know what camera's on. So, and sometimes I don't want to react to the floor camera that's on me because of something that's going on in the ring should have my attention, but I should be registering some kind of emotion about it. So I know the camera next to me is on, but I'm not going to look at it. I'm looking at what I'm supposed to be paying attention to, and I'm letting them know how I feel about it. But that's just elementary. We talked to how did we get here?
Well, you were saying that you wanted to focus on fashion this week, and I thought that was a great idea.